Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Happy opening day, everybody. It's great to be back. We are going to take a look at some pitching options for the DK main slate today. You can use most of these options on FanDuel as well, but I will primarily focus on DK because we do have a two-pitcher site, so there's a little more importance in navigating the pitcher pool. So I'm going to give you a couple that I like and one or two that I'm looking at fading on this slate already. So let's dive in. At the top, Tyler Glass now making his second start because of that trip to Korea. I am obviously a big fan of high strikeout pitchers. St. Louis has some guys that don't necessarily strike out, but they also added guys like Matt Carpenter who definitely do strike out. And to be honest, the St. Louis lineup has struck out a ton this spring. I know we have to take spring training stats with a grain of salt, but uh, Glass now has a DK prop of 7.5 strikeouts in this game. Juice is on the under, but that's a pretty strong number coming out right out of the gate. And with a start under his belt, even though he didn't really rack up the strikeouts in that one, he was racking them up this spring. And traditionally, he starts out strong. He's generally a guy that's amped up to begin the season. So I am going to look to be heavy on Glass now, like most of the industry, I would assume. It's going to be fairly popular because the Dodgers are a minus 230 favorite right now, which is the largest on the board for the slate. Uh, so obviously, good play. Tarik Skubal is another guy that I think is going to be super, super popular for good reason. A lot of people have him as the dark horse Cy Young candidate in the AL. A lot of bets put on him around the industry from some pretty sharp people. Uh, the Tigers are a minus 175 road favorite, which is definitely shocking. We generally don't see that out of Detroit, but the White Sox are a dumpster fire to begin the season. At least we expect them to be. Games haven't started yet, but as far as the slate goes, Skubal is actually the second largest favorite. Uh, Stands out, was great against the White Sox in two starts last year. Um, I do have some worries. Obviously, his road splits last year questionable, but this White Sox lineup is pretty weak. So I am looking for him to be extremely high owned. I can't wait to see what our projected ownership says. We'll be going overweight on him, as I generally do with my pitching. Another game I am considering Pablo Lopez. Uh, I think he's going to be overlooked a little bit based on where he's at, priced between Glasnow and Skubal. Uh, Lopez dominated against Kansas City, made his first start as a Twin last year at the beginning of the season against Kansas City and shut them down. 27 Ks in 20 and a third innings. Strong numbers. Hasn't looked great this spring, giving up 6 home runs. Uh, I want to say in roughly 10 innings of work. Actually, in 14 innings, 6 home runs. So that is a worry. We'll have to see what the weather's like in the Midwest. If there's some cool temperatures for this game, it's going to help Lopez out even more. But I do think he's going to be overlooked a little bit, so I do want to include him in my pool. First guy that I'm looking at fading is going to be the opposing pitcher in that matchup, in Cole Reagans. Um, I know some of the DFS Army members will call me a homer since I am a Twins fan, but I'm not buying everything that Reagans was selling. He obviously flashed, went through this stretch of unbelievable starts. The only thing that stood out is the fact that it was Oakland, Pittsburgh, and the White Sox. A White Sox team that had basically given up at that point. He kind of came down and was mediocre. I mean, the strikeouts are still going to be there, but I just don't think he's some elite arm all of a sudden. I could be proven wrong. There are some people talking about a trajectory similar to Jacob DeGrom. I'm not buying that, so I'm just not going to be buying him at this price on this slate. We do have to make some decisions. He's actually a slight underdog at home. Minnesota is a minus 115 favorite. Looking at some of his props, his K prop is at 6.5, but the juice is well on the under. So nothing that's really standing out for me on that. So I am going to go with the fade. Obviously, it can come back to bite me, but I'm just not playing every pitcher on the slate. Another pitcher that I'm thinking about fading, I haven't completely decided yet, is going to be Mitch Keller. Hasn't looked dominant in the spring, as the strikeouts just haven't been there. His strikeout prop is just at 4.5 right now on DK. Juice is on the over, but it's a kind of a low number considering the Marlins aren't an overly dangerous squad. He did shut them down last year, but his numbers on the road were pretty bad, and that's obviously a worry. His K numbers were great on the road, but every other number not so great. Uh, he's just somebody that I think I can get away with fading and not feel too terrible about myself. Um, I mean, he's surrounded by Webb and Darvish, who are just whatever. Webb's got some home road splits as well. Darvish didn't look great in Korea, so I may just end up going really light in this price range, go mostly on the top. And then, I'm looking at guys down here at the bottom. Frankie Montas really intrigues me. Issue for me is he did give up 4 home runs this spring. I just don't like seeing home run balls, but obviously this is a guy that was a one-time, big-time arm that we thought Oakland was going to get a haul for in trades, dealing with injuries, that sort of thing. But I think he's priced pretty invitingly on this slate. Normally, I don't like to punt pitching, but this 6,300 price tag is really interesting. K prop is just 4.5, but the juice is easily on the over. I expect that number to probably push to 5.5. He is a minus 155 home favorite here. So he's one of the strongest favorites on the board. So that's going to be enough for me to be interested. The one thing I do worry about when it comes to construction is I do think he's going to be fairly popular in Dodger stacks. Won't be talking about hitting in this video, but I just do think that his price tag ties well with LA Dodger stacks and how expensive they are. So it's just one thing to keep in mind. But there we have it. There's my first look on the opening day slate on DraftKings for the 2024 season. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. And as always, best of luck, everybody.